Hello children. Today we are going to do a very interesting poem. A poem that is interesting as a story and a poem that's interesting for the value it teaches us. This poem is written by the American poet Phoebe Cary. So let's get into the poem. Before we start, this particular poem can be called a ballad. What exactly is a ballad? A ballad is a story in the form of a poem. It tells the story in short stanzas. Though they tell here that it has 16 stanzas, it's not necessary. Mostly the stanzas will have 4 lines because they're short. And they have been in existence for a long time. They passed from one generation to other through word of mouth. And this particular story is believed to be a story or a legend of the Northland. Northland, any area near the North Pole. On this side of the page, I've given you a example of a ballad. It's just for you to know that ballads are stories in poetic form. So let's get into the poem. Away, away in the Northland, where the hours of the day are few, and the nights are so long in winter that they cannot sleep them through. So this is a Northland where it's very cold, and because it's very cold, the daytime is very less and the night is very long, and it's so long that we cannot sleep throughout the night, because for how much ever time we sleep, when we wake up we find that it's still dark, it's still not daylight. So they can't sleep throughout the night because the night is so long. Maximum how many hours can you sleep? But after that also, when you wake up, you will find that it's still not daytime. When is the swift reindeer to the sledges when it snows, and the children look like bears' cubs in their funny furry clothes. So there to travel they have to use the reindeer. It's only the reindeer which can move swiftly, which can move quickly on the snow, and they use sledges for traveling. Okay, and how do the children look? The children, they look like the little ones of bears, because they wear such funny clothes, because it's so cold, so they need to wear such clothes, furry clothes which are like fur, which protect them from the heat, from the cold. So they, in such a place the story has taken place. They tell them a curious story. So they tell a story in this land. The story is very famous. I am not sure it is true, but even if it's true or it's not true, that's not important. What is important is the lesson that you learn from it. And yet you may learn a lesson if I tell the tale to you. So if I tell you the story, you will learn a lesson from it. Once, when the good Saint Peter lived in the world below and walked about it, preaching, just as he did, So when did the story take place? The story took place during the time of Saint Peter, when he lived on earth. Saint Peter was one of the apostles of Christ, and he was someone who we believe was closest to Christ. So he lived on the world, and he used to go about the earth preaching to people. And he came to the door of a cottage in traveling around the earth, where a little woman was baking cakes and baking them on the hearth. So he came, as he was traveling, he reached a house, a cottage, and in the cottage there was a woman who was making cakes, different kinds of cakes. She was baking them on the hearth near the fireplace, and she was stocking them there. And faint with fasting, for the day was almost done. He asked from her store of cakes to give him a single one. So he's nearly faint. He's very weak. He's tired with fasting. He has not had anything the whole day. He has been fasting. For the day was almost done. The day was about to be over. He asked her from a store of cakes to give him a single one. Asked her to give just one cake. So though she has made many cakes, she didn't feel like parting with those cakes. So she made a very little cake, a very small cake. But as it lay baking there, she looked at it and thought, oh, it's too large. How can I give this away to him? This cake is too big for him. Therefore, she needed another. That is, she made the batter ready for another cake. And still a smaller one. She made a smaller cake. But it looked when it turned over as large as the first one had done. But when she finished making it, she felt that this was as large as the first one. So, though the cake is becoming smaller and smaller, she is not feeling like parting with it. Therefore, she needed another and still a smaller one. But it looked when she turned it over as large as the first one had done. So, she made an even smaller cake. But when it was done, she feels it's as big as the other one. Not because it's big, but because she feels so. Then she took a tiny scrap of dough. Tiny scrap, very little of dough. Dough is the batter that's used for making cake. And she rolled and rolled it flat. So she went on rolling it so that it becomes and baked as thin as a wafer. Her cake became as thin as a wafer. But she couldn't part with that. Even that cake she doesn't feel like giving away, even though it's so thin. See those cakes, how thin they are. From that giving one, what difference does it make? But she doesn't feel like parting with it. Huh? She's making so many cakes, her ladder is full, yet she doesn't like giving it away. And she says that the cakes that seem too small, when I eat of them myself, are yet too large to give away. So she put them on the shelf. So she made so many cakes, and she's saying, see, when I eat them, I feel it's very small. I can eat it within a second. But when I want to give it to somebody else, I feel it is too large. And again, she kept that cake also on the shelf. And all this time, who's waiting outside? Saint Peter, a good man. Then the good Saint Peter grew angry, for he was hungry and faint. And surely such a woman was enough to provoke a saint. So he got very angry because he was feeling so hungry and tired. And naturally, any woman, such a woman, will surely make even a saint angry. Even leave an ordinary person, when a saint will get angry, if you keep making them wait like this. So he also got very angry. He said, "You're far too selfish to dwell in human form, to have both food and shelter and fire to keep you warm. You're very, very selfish. You don't deserve to dwell, to live in the form of a human being. To have food and shelter. See, when you're a human being, you have got food, you get shelter, and you get fire, which keeps you warm, which is very important in this cold area. So you're having whatever you want. Now you shall build as the birds do, and shall get your scanty food by boring and boring and boring all day in the hard dry wood." So now you will also get your food just like the birds. How will you get it? You will get your scanty food, your little, very little bit of food, by boring all day, by keep on, putting your beak into the wood and going into it and into it and into it till you can get the food. Up then she went through the chimney, never speaking a word, and out of the top flew a woodpecker, for she was changed into the bird. So when he said this, immediately she changed into a bird. She went up through the chimney and she couldn't speak a word. Why? Because she's become a bird. She changed into the woodpecker. Then she went out of the house. So she lost both her house, her food, and her worm. She lost everything. And she had worn a cap on her head, and that was left the same. But all the rest of her clothes were burned, black as a coal in the flame, because that's how a woodpecker looks, isn't it? It has a black body and a red head, cap-like structure on its head. So the poet says that her cap was left the same, but everything else was turned to black, because she went through the chimney. So her dress became black. And every country schoolboy has seen her in the wood, where she lives in the trees till this very day, boring and boring for food. So all the schoolboys have seen her in the forest, and till today she lives there, boring and boring for food, going on searching in the wood for food. So what's important here is not whether the woodpecker is the lady or not, but that if we are very, very cruel or we are unkind, we will suffer for it. Why have we been born as human beings? We have been born as human beings to share, care, and be kind with others. And when we stop doing that, then we are no longer fit to be human. Now, what are poetic devices? We have learned of so many poetic devices: alliteration, repetition, simile, personification, metaphor, rhyme, so many things, onomatopoeia, all these. The most outstanding poetic devices in this particular poem are simile, repetition, alliteration, and rhyme. Rhyme, you know, you have rhyming words and rhyme scheme. Apart from that, you have simile, that is comparing things using like and as. There are a lot of examples for simile. Here I've just noted down two. There are more examples in the poem. Simile, alliteration, repetition of the same initial consonant sounds. Again, there are just two examples here. There are many more examples in the poem. And repetition. Repetition is repeating the same word again and again. That boring word is repeated again and again to show how much she is suffering. And the very first line of the poem here, away and away in Northland. This is to show that it is very far off, and probably it is that it was very long ago. Like we start a story a long time ago, they lived a king and all that. So that same way she started the story, and rolled it flat. Here again it's repeated to show that she's going on rolling it and rolling it. She's not feeling like parting with it, so she's wasting time or spending time rolling it, and she's making it as flat as possible so that she has to give away very, very little. So this is why it's repeated there. So you have repetition, simile, rhyme, and alliteration. The question answers are given here. You can pause the slide at this point and you can write it down in your classwork side after writing the name of the lesson and the date in the index and new page. Please pause here and complete your classwork. And anything is incomplete without a homework, so please do this very simple homework. The first homework, write the story of a legend of Northland in 10 sentences. Very easy. I think if you just take from the poem itself, you will get 10 sentences. It's not an issue at all. And the next one is to pick out the rhyming words in the poem. Please do pick it out. Have a great time. Bye, children.